US President Donald Trump, as a career businessman turned politician, has been able to strengthen the US economy. Here are some views expressed by the president before he took office as the US president.
You know, we don't manufacture anything anymore in this country. We do healthcare, we do lots of different services, but the big service is manufacturing. Everything's made in China, for the most part, between China, India, and others, but China in particular. And frankly, they're sending stuff over here, and we're paying for it. And, you know, it's sort of interesting. Very little tax, if any, paid, and yet you can't do business in China. You're not allowed to do business in China. It's almost impossible to do business in China, and yet they take our business from North Carolina, from South Carolina, from Alabama. They make toys. They then sell them to this country. They make tremendous profits, and then they loan this country money in the form of treasuries. Personally, I'd tax China because it's not a free trade country. I would tax China very, very heavily, and the money that you get from that tax, because some of the products would still get through, even with the tax, but it would create jobs in this country. Because at the same time, toys, as an example, that's not oil. We could make toys in this country. There's no reason to go to China. I would tax China very, very heavily in terms of their product coming in. The biggest problem we have, like with China, is that they're sucking money out of this country. Then the horrible part is they then loan it back to us. We still have the biggest economy in the world. We're still number one. But you know what? In 10 years, we will not be number one because we're allowing them to be number one. We should tax China. By doing that, you're going to do two things. Number one, you're going to take in tremendous revenue. Number two, you're going to equal out the trade imbalance. And number three, you're going to create jobs in this country.
US President Donald Trump has been able to strengthen the US dollar and record the lowest unemployment levels in the country. A career businessman in the US has been able to handle the economy and strengthen the dollar, but what have the career politicians in Sri Lanka done? Here at home, the Sri Lankan rupee is in a shocking state today because of the low exports. It should be noted that the exports have drastically reduced since the year 2000, which was at 33.3% of the GDP to 13% of the GDP by mid-2017. During the UNP government led by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe from 2001 to 2004, the value of exports as a percentage of GDP has reduced by 2.7%. The trend continued and worsened during the time of the Rajapaksa regime and dropped from 26% of GDP to 14%.